Samuel here with NAIOP New Mexico, and with me is,
Sal Perdomo with Titan Development and the chair of the Government Affairs Committee.
as promised, we're going to do a better job at sharing with everyone what we're working on the government affairs side of the work equation for NAIOP New Mexico. As you all see, we have our great events. We have a great one coming up at the end of the month with our students that we support for STEM. But government affairs is a really important piece of our work, and it happens often behind the scenes without a lot of information or accolades or anything to that effect because it's quiet, consistent work. But we're going to tell you what's going on. So today we're going to talk like we did a couple of videos ago. We're going to go from the state to the county to the city and just give you a little snapshot of what's happening at each one of those levels. I'll kick it off with the state. So the legislative session ended in, oh my goodness, in February. It was short, but here we are in April, and the work certainly hasn't stopped. I've been doing a lot of roundup meetings with NAIOP's lobbyist. Her name is Marla Schultz. We're talking to legislators who helped us with bills this past session or introduced bills that were related to our industry, but we weren't exactly consulted on. So we want to have more information on what was going on there. So one of those legislators is Representative Borrego. She had a few bills related to zoning and planning, so we're talking with her about her intention there and how we can inform her work going into the next session. We also had conversations with Senator Michael Padilla, excellent senator from Albuquerque. Part of his district is like Mesa del Sol, the South Valley. He hosts a very famous job fair in Matanza every year, so you may have heard the name. He was helping us with some property tax bills. So we were discussing what does it look like to go into the 2027 legislative session and have an impact on economic development. He's certainly well positioned to do it, and we're always grateful to have those conversations with the senator. Then last week we had a meeting, pretty much an all-day meeting with a lot of partners who are invested or care about housing in New Mexico. Numbers range anywhere from like 30,000 to 50,000 units shy of housing units in New Mexico that we have. And if that doesn't raise alarm bells, I don't know what will. So it's kind of an all hands on deck approach, trying to figure out what can we do to solve this problem. So it was myself there, the Home Builders Association, both at the statewide level and local, apartment association, and others, figuring out what did we all work on this session? Where can we find collaboration? And what can we do to tee ourselves up for success going into 27 with perhaps like a one-pager, giving it to the legislators, saying, here's all the things, if you want to impact housing, this will have the biggest impact, and here's where consensus has already been built. So we think that if we can come together, have this document by the end of the summer, it'll position the entire state really well to actually have an impact on housing. So there's a lot of partners, again, involved in those conversations. We had our very first meeting, and I'm excited to see what comes of it.
And although NAIOP's purview is commercial real estate, housing has a direct impact on commercial real estate and the availability of housing. And so NAIOP and Rhiannon, we partner with a lot of our partner associations in the city and in the state that do focus on housing.
Yeah. And, it was funny at this meeting, there was one comment that I really liked from somebody who's worked for the statewide HBA for a while. Homes are where jobs come to sleep or where jobs go at night. And I thought that was really important because, as we're working on economic development, it's all for naught if we don't have places for people to live. So NAIOP is very glad to be a part of those conversations.
And then at the county level, you might have heard or seen in the news that the county commission brought forward a community benefits matrix and requirements for all projects that receive funding from the county. The main example is industrial revenue bonds, or IRBs, as we call them. NAIOP has been involved in fighting this legislation because it is very prohibitive to economic development and job opportunities and commercial real estate in the county. A lot of projects, the only reason they're viable is because they receive IRBs. And if the county puts these significant community benefits requirements on these projects, they're just not going to go to Bernalillo County. They're going to go somewhere else. So this is an incredibly bad bill. NAIOP and our representatives have been working, Rhiannon and other representatives have been working with county commissioners to fight the bill. And if we do think it is going to get approved because of the makeup of the county commission, but we are working with the county commission to potentially modify it and make it a little bit more palatable to not dissuade investment in Bernalillo County.
Yeah, and like a lot of these things, they're incentives. They saw a need. They needed retail development. They need, I don't know, industrial jobs. So they created these mechanisms to incentivize that behavior. And now they're putting barriers in the way. I did have an interesting conversation with a commissioner a couple weeks ago, and they said, "Well, why does it seem like all of these big deals need an incentive? Why does the private sector, in their words, need a handout?" And I paused and I said, it's not exactly a handout because from what happened, they were referencing like, I don't know, 30, 50 years ago, it wasn't the same climate that we're in now. Our climate now is in not environmental climate, but business climate, where they have so many other barriers they have to go through. They have a lot of, our taxes have gone up. They're mandated to do certain things that just cost business so much more. And we're not debating whether or not those things are merited at this point in time. What we're debating is we have all of this additional work and then we're adding some. Yeah. So we just want to make sure that we still have a level and fair playing ground for business to come and bring meaningful jobs and bring that development to our state.
These tools have been used for thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs over, recent history to bring economic development and economic opportunities to the state. So, moving down to the city level, we are in constant communication with city councilors, with those bringing forward legislation at the city level. We're monitoring that legislation every week, and continually meeting with and having lunch with city councilors to discuss potential issues in the city, potential interests that are hurting business. There's a lot of things going on. There's nothing really baked enough for us to discuss at this point, but just letting everyone and our members know that we are continually monitoring the activities that are going on at City Council.
Yeah, and to Sal's point, there's things, again, that are happening behind the scenes. We're drafting legislation, we're coming up with research, and so it doesn't always mean that we can go live with it because it doesn't have the sufficient input that would make us feel comfortable that we could put the NAIOP brand on it. So lots of work. Yep. Every day. I'm hopeful we're working on some big things. They'll come out in the coming weeks, but give us some time to continue drafting and fine-tuning it. I'll round it out with kind of a backdrop of where we're at in government affairs. So it's an election year, and it's the midterms for those who pay attention to the federal races. I always care about local races that much more because I feel like in local politics, both at the state and the city and county, that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where you're going to see differences the very next day. So in New Mexico in particular, you've heard we have a governor's race, huge. We also have all of our House seats are up on the ballot, not our Senate, just our House. And then we have at Bernalillo County, so looking at our biggest metro area, we have 2 commissioners that are on the ballot. One commissioner is unopposed, both in the primary and the general. The other has opposition in both fronts. I bring all of this up to say that the elections are the backdrop to everything we're doing on the government affairs side of things. So it's always odd to do government affairs work during an election year because it's politically motivated. If somebody introduces something good, they may anticipate that folks will come out and endorse them and give them financial contributions. But then you see a lot of signaling bills where they may not do this on any other year, but they want to make headlines to help their campaign. So NAIOP has a separate entity. It's called our PAC, and it's a 501c6, and their activities are, it's a 501c4. That is, their activities are separate from our government affairs work. But as you can assume, the work does intersect. And so we're being careful to balance both interests really fairly. Our PAC committee chairs this year are Joe Farr and Rebecca Velarde. They're doing an excellent job at keeping the PAC very measured and aware of what's happening in the government affairs space as they're working in the election space. Um, Anything that comes up with the PAC, whether we have a fundraiser or endorsements, that'll be separate from these videos, but I just wanted to share how it kind of crosses over. Sal sits
Yep.
on that committee too. He's just a voting member. He's not the lead of that committee, but anything you'd like to share?
No, no, the PAC has done and will continue to do really great work to, help stay involved in the political, things that are going on in the state.
Yeah, certainly. Well, that's just a brief snapshot. Feel free to reach out to me. You could reply to the email or wherever you found this video, or to Sal. If you have any issues that come across your desk, I tell my board often I'm only as good as the information I'm given because I don't do the work you all do. I'm not an architect, an engineer, a developer. So tell me what you're experiencing. Where are those pain points? And is there a fix that I can help work on legislatively for you? But as always, thanks for watching. I think we got it in our first take, Sal.
Yeah,
So
let's
great.
do it. All right.
We'll try and do another one of these next month. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.